Welcome to the Colombia virtual tour.
Colombia is one of the most representative countries in Latin America. From a geographical perspective, its extension of more than 2 million square kilometers makes it the fourth largest country in Latin America and the second most biodiverse in the world, after Brazil. This diversity represents 10% of the world's biodiversity with 50,000 species of animals, more than 1,800 species of birds, 60 of which are exclusive to Colombia, 41 national parks, 11 sanctuaries, 2 national reserves, and 5 World Biosphere Reserves. Additionally, it is the only South American country with 2 oceans, the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. However, despite so many natural privileges, in 2014, Colombia was among the 8 countries in the world with the most ecological conflicts between citizens and industries, and the first in Latin America in biodiversity destruction. On the economic side, in the last few years, it presented a more than 200% increase in foreign investment, which led it to belong to the group of the 6 emerging economies countries in the world. However, this growth has accentuated the inequality in the country. According to the United Nations, Colombia has a Gini coefficient greater than 0.5, the first in inequality and the hyperaccumulation of the OECD countries, and it's around the 19th place in the world with a very low standard of living with high unemployment rates. In terms of culture, in Colombia there are 70 living languages where Spanish is the official language and 69 are used by more than 400,000 indigenous people. A curious fact is regarding the different ethnicities that we have in Colombia is that the Africans who managed to free themselves from colonial slavery were able to organize themselves in something they call palenques, which were places isolated from commercial centers and communication routes with difficult access and very few population. In those places, they rebuild their African culture according to their norms. This is how, in Colombia, we have a town called San Basilio de Palenque, which is a township of 4,200 inhabitants that survived and was declared the cultural and intangible heritage of humanity as the first free people of colonial American, and preserves traditions such as the language called Palenquero, Creole, and music.
Estamos acá en Colombia, pero tengo la impresión que en Colombia...
Menino a San Basilio de Palenque, tierra de gente prieto, como yo está aquí, gente cucabeo caquiqui. Bienvenido a San Basilio de Palenque, tierra de gente negra, con el pelo encrespado como el mío.
Bienvenido más gente de la abuela, hay tierra grande que hacen da Palenque, Chito, de África, and de Colombia. Así que todo en un atajarocho de que más gente de la abuela, mini a mina cultura lo que nosotros ten aquí Palenque. Bienvenidos personas foráneas a San Basilio de Palenque. Estamos muy contentos de que vengan a mirar la riqueza cultural que hay en Palenque, además de que vengan a mirar el rincón de África en Colombia, que es Palenque.
¿Tú de dónde eres? De Palenque. ¿De qué barrio eres? Del barrio abajo. ¿Y tú? Del barrio arriba. Todas no es lo mismo. Todos somos iguales. Entonces vamos a cantar.
Regarding our evidence decision-making ecosystems, the story that we can tell is the story of our unit of evidence and deliberation for decision making. The roots of the collaborative work in evidence-informed decision-making in Colombia have different aspects and institutions of public, private, and mixed nature that promote the integration and use of evidence in a network of key actors in the state and academia. Our unit, which is called the Unit for Evidence and Deliberation for Decision-Making, is an example of a university-based unit. Our work on issues related to evidence-informed decision-making started in 2007, at which time our University of Antioquia, which is the university where we belong, created the master's degree in clinical epidemiology. Around that time, EVIPNET Las Americas was launched with delegates from 9 countries in Latin America. In 2009, the Pan American Health Organization initiated a policy on health research in which the dissemination and utilization of research was the main objective. At that time, the Ministry of Health in Colombia declared a social emergency and called on research groups to create clinical practice guidelines to inform the decision of the ministry. 3 universities responded to this call, our university and 2 universities from Bogotá, the capital of Colombia. This work on clinical practice guidelines was the beginning of a network of institutions that work on evidence-informed decisions in the health sector. By 2010, some of our professors participated in the creation of the first health technology assessment agency that was launched in 2011 in Colombia, the first national agency. This agency and the links to some of our professors in our university help us create a stronger network with policymakers and other stakeholders. From 2015 to 2019, some of our professors received their PhDs from McMaster University, a university that is well known for their capacity in evidence-informed decision-making activities and their capacity to create frameworks to how to inform decisions with the best available evidence. These professors were able to come back to our university after getting their PhD and created our unit of evidence and deliberation. With this capacity, we were able to participate in different projects with other countries and groups who work in evidence-informed decision-making, like the African Center for Evidence in South Africa, and other similar teams in Uganda, Ethiopia, Brazil, Chile, and the UK and other countries. Since then, our unit has promoted the use of evidence-informed decision-making with several projects promoted by the Ministry of Health and by other ministries in Colombia. Currently, one of the biggest challenges that we have is to contribute to public policies and the use of evidence in the region in sectors different than health. This is why we are now part of the coordinating team of the Latin American Hub for the use of evidence, which is trying to mimic the work that has been done in Africa with the amazing network that you have on evidence-informed decision-making.